Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making a rainbow cake. Here I have vanilla cake batter and the 6 rainbow colours in gel food colouring. The recipe for the vanilla batter that I'm using is in the description below. To start with, we're going to need to divide the vanilla batter into 6 equal parts. I'm using scales here to ensure that I get the same amount in each bowl for each colour. Once I've weighed out my 6 bowls of vanilla batter, I'm now going to colour each bowl. Now I'm going to add my gel food colouring to each bowl, starting with yellow, orange, red, blue, purple and green. Once I've added the colours, I'm just going to mix them in. Once I'm happy with the colour, I'm going to pour that into a cake tin. Today I'm using a 6-inch round. As you can see here, I'm lining the bottom of my tin with baking paper and then going to pour the red cake batter into my prepared tin and level that batter. I'm then going to bake this layer at 160 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes. We can then repeat this with the remaining 5 coloured batters. To check your cake is baked, you can either use a cocktail stick or skewer to stick into the centre of the cake to make sure it comes out clean, or check by pressing down in the centre of the cake and make sure it springs back. Now we're going to repeat the same process that we've done with the red with the orange, yellow, green, blue and purple batter. Once we have baked all 6 of our layers, we're then going to move on to decorating once they're cool. Now that each of our cake layers are cool, we're going to start by leveling our sponges. I use a ruler when leveling my sponges to ensure that each cake layer is exactly the same height. As you can see, I'm just going through and marking different points on the sponge where I'm going to want to cut off the top of that dome. Once I'm happy with the markings, I'm then going to take my serrated knife and cut through the top of the dome. Now let's repeat that process with the next 5 sponges: orange, yellow, green, blue and purple. Now we have 6 leveled sponges, each colour of the rainbow, all the same height. Now I've grabbed my cake board that I'm going to be using today, and I'm taking my first sponge, which is the purple one. Once I've centered my sponge in the middle of the board, I'm then going to begin by adding my buttercream. Today I've used an ice cream scoop to ensure that we have the same amount of buttercream between each layer of cake. I'm then using my crank spatula just to spread the buttercream on top of that sponge. While you're spreading the buttercream, try to ensure that you're not lifting the buttercream up from the sponge so that you don't get any crumbs in each layer of your buttercream between the sponges. Once you're happy with your layer of buttercream as you're filling, you're going to move on to the next sponge, and we're going to repeat this 5 more times until we've reached the last sponge, which will be red. For our last sponge, we're going to flip the cake over so that the cut side of the sponge is what you're putting onto the top of your buttercream. This will just help with limiting the amount of crumbs that you actually get in your crumb coat. As you can see, I'm giving the cake a good press down to ensure the cake is level and even. And then from there, we're going to start with our crumb coat. So all the excess buttercream you can see on the sides, I'm just going to use that first to encase the cake and seal those crumbs in. By doing this, your final layer of buttercream will be crumb free. Your crumb coat only needs to be a very thin layer of buttercream. This is just to ensure that all the crumbs are encased in this first layer, so when you do your final layer of buttercream, it is just a plain white finish. As you can see, once I'm finished with the offset spatula, I'm now actually going to grab a cake scraper and just scrape back any excess buttercream. And then just grabbing my offset spatula again to clean up the top edge so it's nice and smooth. And then we're just going to pop that into the fridge for about 30 minutes. Once the cake is chilled and firm to the touch, you can then add your last layer of buttercream. My advice for this part is always to add more buttercream than you need. When I ice my cakes, I tend to start at the top. I like to get a smooth-ish finish on the top of the cake, and then I'll work the rest of the buttercream down the sides. I tend to always apply my buttercream using an offset spatula. That's my preferred method. And then once I've added the amount of buttercream on the sides that I'm happy with, I'll then convert to the cake scraper. When using the cake scraper, you can often see when you have missed or need to add extra buttercream because there'll be a gap when you're trying to smooth it out. As you can see here, I'm just adding in more buttercream where it wasn't touching the scraper, and then I'll go back using the cake scraper to remove the excess. I often have to repeat this process several times until I'm happy with the final look. Once we're finished with the sides of the cake, I'm now going to show you how to take off the top edge. I like to use the offset spatula to take off the top edge of buttercream. Have it at a slight angle and push it into the center of the cake. This helps remove the top edge and smooth out the top of the cake. Once I've finished removing the top of the cake, I'll go in with my spatula just to make sure that it's nice and smooth. Once I'm happy with how my cake is looking, I'll then pop that back into the fridge for another 30 minutes to chill down. And from there, we can add any decoration. That's it, guys. That's how you make a layered rainbow cake. If you liked this video and want to see more tutorials, all things baking and cake decorating, please like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any videos. I upload every Wednesday. See you next time.